Yo, what's up? It's Josh here. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the number one sales funnel mistake that so many online coaches don't even realize they are making in their business, which is essentially limiting how many sales they could be making and the amount of growth that they could be achieving. Now, when it comes to scaling your online coaching business, we often think that we need more leads, right? And don't get me wrong, we could all benefit from having way more leads than what we have right now. But I want to ask you a question to sit back and reflect on here. If you are already generating leads, my question to you is, why are you not converting more of those leads? Like, you probably already have leads coming into your coaching business. Why aren't you converting them? Or you probably already have a couple hundred, a couple of thousand, maybe 10,000 plus followers. So if that's the case, then why aren't you converting more leads into clients? And the problem is that you think you need more leads, but more leads are not the answer. You have this bucket here where you do have leads in your world, but they're leaking out the side and you're not maximizing the amount of leads and followers that you have. And that's why you can't scale. See, what you actually need to focus on is not necessarily just generating more leads. It's maximizing the ones you have, like I was saying. Now, you've probably seen a diagram like this before, and this is just like your typical sales funnel, right? Like, we have all these people out here in the world who have no idea who you are. And then your job is to essentially, is this some wacky looking people? Your job is essentially to get the attention of these people and bring them into your sales funnel, which is here, your top of funnel, we call it. Then we move into your middle of funnel, and then we have your bottom of funnel. And this isn't a lecture on sales funnels. It's about the block that's in your funnel right now. See, you probably have enough leads, but you're not forcing people into your bottom of funnel, which is where all the sales happen. And what you need to focus on is creating velocity in your sales funnel, and more in particular, the middle of funnel, to actually force people through. See, we can all run ads and get leads and followers. We can all put up a ton of call to actions and post organic content and get leads and followers and whatnot. It's actually quite easy to get attention, which is just that top of funnel section. Where most coaches fall short is that they don't realize that 95% of any given market is not ready to buy right now. There's only a very small percentage of people who are. So if you think about leads and followers who are coming into your account every day, 5 out of every 100 are ready to buy. Let that sink in. 5 out of every 100 are ready to buy. That means there are 95 people or 95 leads, followers, whatever you want to call them, who aren't ready to buy right now. And if you are not doing a good job at creating velocity in your middle of funnel, where you're actually nurturing these people, they are not going to move through your pipeline. So let's look at actually strengthening your middle of funnel by implementing these 3 steps. And they're actually pretty straightforward steps, I'm not going to lie. So step number 1, what we need to focus on here is doubling down on what I like to call daily persuasion. Most coaches think that in order to get more sales, they need to start posting, more selfies in the gym. So they'll start to, whip their shirt off at the end of a session and get a rig shot, or they'll put up sort of, random screenshots from clients and things like that. That's not going to persuade people. What you need to figure out is how you can create effective story selling sequences to warm up your followers, which are leads, and then turn those people into buyers. And that's the art of selling in your stories every single day using daily persuasion. What I would focus on if I was you is using storytelling frameworks, Rapier, Pasta, 4P, Ease, and Micro Case Study. These are ones that I use in my stories very often, and the same thing for my clients. The cool thing about using story selling frameworks like this is they don't come across as very needy and annoying and salesy, because that's often the biggest objection I hear when I tell clients hey, you need to go and post on your stories every single day. They're like, oh, well, Josh, I don't want to come across as salesy and annoying and needy. When you use frameworks like this, it doesn't come across that way. And if anything, you actually create really interesting stories that draw people in while also delivering value and putting your offer in front of people at the same time. So it's just a win-win-win across the board. Now, as a complete side note, if you were to jump into Instagram and DM me SSP, I have a free training for you that walks through a GPT that I've created that's full of story selling frameworks. There's a training on how to use it. And honestly, this thing is an absolute weapon. So DM me SSP on Instagram and you're about to get a hold of that one there for free. I'm not asking for anything or not trying to sell to you, whatever it is like you would be used to with DMs. It's just straight access. Step number 2, the 7-hour rule. Now, this is something that is becoming more and more important. Now, Google did this study, analysis, research, whatever the heck you want to call it, where essentially it was the 7-11-4 rule, they called it, where a consumer, before they would buy from someone, needs to consume 7 hours worth of content across 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms. That's crazy if you think about it. Now, the reason why that is, and I've been harping on about this for years now, if you're a long-term client of mine or a long-term follower, you would know I've been talking about trust for so long, but it takes someone a very long time to trust you before they're willing to buy from you. In today's climate with AI and the state of the world and whatnot, people's trust is lower than ever, and you need to create a lot of content to warm those people up. So like I said here, 7 hours, 11 touch points, 4 platforms. Now, for me and my clients inside of Freedom Coach, I just tell them to focus on Instagram and YouTube and maybe a little bit of email. So there's 3 platforms, but you can easily build up that 7 hours through there. But the fastest one that's going to get you trust is YouTube, right? And if you look at yourself right now, there's a very good chance that you are watching this video on YouTube. You're consuming, right? And what you are building up with me technically is this 7 hours. Now, it's going to take a long time for someone to build up 7 hours of consumption with you in Instagram short form reels. Like, imagine how many reels, like, I'm actually just going to get my phone and do this for the sake of it. Like, let's say you do 30-second reels, right? Like 7 hours divided by, what's that, 60 minutes? Oh, hold on. 60 times 7. So there's 420 minutes in 7 hours. Hopefully I'm getting this math right. If I'm getting it wrong, feel free to rip me apart. And if you were to times that by 2, which would be 840. Now, the reason why I times it by 2 is because that's 420 minutes. If I was to half that into seconds, I'm looking at the amount of reels that someone would need to consume. They would need to consume 840 reels. Surely that's not right. No, it would be 210 reels to get that amount of consumption. Even if that math is wrong, feel free to tear me down if that is not right. But it doesn't matter. The point that I'm trying to get across here is someone needs to consume a freaking load of reels to build up that 7 hours. And if you've been in this game for quite a while, online coaching, you would know, like a couple of years I'm talking, you would know that 2, 3, 4 years ago, you could like run ads and you get clients, like cost per acquisition would be like $50, or, you could put up a post and say, I'm looking for 3 busy people who want to lose weight, and it would like rain with leads, right? These days, that kind of stuff is just gone. So you really have to focus on that 7 hours. And if there's one big takeaway from this training today or this video today, is to double down on long form content. Trust me, if you're a fitness coach or any sort of online coach in the business to consumer world, a lot of coaches in your game are still sleeping on this. So if you're watching this video right now, it means you're far ahead of the majority, but you're not going to be far ahead if you don't start creating short form content and then turning that into long form content. Now, when I say turning short form into long form, it's just a matter of repurposing your ideas. So if you have a short form video that's like the 3 steps to building bigger glutes, then turn that into a 15-minute long video where you're breaking down an in-depth training like this or something like that, and you'll get those minutes up, which is going to increase the trust with your prospects, and that's how you start to create more velocity in your sales funnel. Now, your third step here is email. This is a serious underrated weapon. A lot of people think email is dead. It's actually not, and it's a platform that not many coaches specifically use unless like you're a business coach. Not many use it because it actually requires the skill of copywriting. But if you're creating short form content, what people don't realize is that that is copywriting as well, because you need to write your scripts and come up with the ideas and whatnot, which is a form of copywriting. But if you can get really good at writing email, what you'll start to get is people's full undivided attention. Now, if you're watching this video and you might have came from my email list, because I always send my videos to my email list, I had your undivided attention for however long it took for you to read that email from me. That's the crazy part, is you're not battling, a couple of seconds of stories and then, the person knows they're going to swipe across to the next one, or they're not, on reels where they're swiping. They're on that email. There's nothing else happening on the screen except for that email. What I love to do is I also love to repurpose my stories and my content into email, into long form video, and I repurpose it around my ecosystem. So sometimes I'll write an email and I'm like, damn, that is a banger email. I'm going to put that into some story sequences. So I'll feed it into this tool here that I was trying to get you to download before for free. I'll feed it into that and I say, hey, can you turn this into this kind of framework, blah, blah, blah. Or I'll turn that into a long form video, or like this this whole training that I've got right now could be a short 45-second reel that I put on Instagram that's a trailer for this. So it's just learning to repurpose content across all of these different platforms so you don't have to come up with a gazillion and one different ideas, because that's the last thing that you want. However, email is a serious underrated weapon. I would focus on daily-ish emails. Now I say daily-ish because if you can email 5-6 times a week, that's going to be a sweet spot. 7 days a week would be amazing. And I know that sounds like a lot, but you post stories every single day. So why is it any different to send an email every single day? And if you want to be like, oh, well, I get emails every day from people and it's annoying. Yes, but I guarantee that you don't open all of them. And that's the whole point, is that eventually some of those emails are going to get opened, and it's just getting in front of people's face again and again and again to build up essentially that 7 hours. Now, I do have a bonus step for you. The silent salesman, I like to call it. Now, what this is a mini VSL, and I like to call it just like a Loom walkthrough. It's not even really a VSL these days. I think it's just like a methodology video, I guess you could say. Now, the way that I teach my clients to do these, and you can probably find one of these on my YouTube channel and just kind of analyze it if you're not a client of mine. But essentially what we do in these videos is we walk through exactly where your ideal prospect is at, point A. We talk about some of the stuff they've tried and almost throw some stones back at the industry so it makes the prospect feel like they are not at fault. We then introduce to them a new way of doing things, which we call a mechanism. And this is essentially like your method for getting results. We show the system itself, like how you actually do it. And then we show a little bit of what they get when they actually work with you as a client. But the whole purpose of this video is that it's not a hard sell. Its main objective is just to warm up your prospects. And trust me, this silent salesman does a phenomenal job at boosting that 7 hours. This video itself usually goes anywhere from sort of like 8 to 15 minutes, sometimes up to 20, depending on how long it takes to get through it. But the main thing is that this here is like rocket fuel for that 7 hours. And that's why I wanted to include the silent salesman in here. But if you can get that VSL in place, it's an amazing free training that you can kind of just keep repurposing back into, or keep pushing back into your ecosystem of content and getting people to consume that. A lot of my clients who create these get a lot of booked calls on autopilot and close those calls because these videos do such a good job at essentially nurturing a prospect so much where they go, wow, this is the thing that I need. And often this little video here can be the tipping point for getting someone across the line to trust you enough to want to buy. So my friend, your main objective is, yes, to generate more leads and more followers. Don't get me wrong, you always need a flow of leads coming into your business, but what you need to double down on is really beefing up your middle of funnel. If you can really start to beef up that middle of funnel with these steps that I've shown you today, that's going to create a lot more velocity, which is going to push people down into your bottom of funnel, which is where all of the sales go down. But if you're not maximizing that middle of funnel and you're not creating velocity, people aren't going to move into that bottom of funnel as much as what they could be if that middle of funnel was really beefed up. But my friend, that's it for this video today. I hope you got a little bit of value. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, whatever it is. And if you did want that story selling framework GPT that I have that's got a training attached to it with the full breakdown, just jump into Instagram and DM me SSP and you're about to grab that one for free. See you inside of the next video.